Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and join us in our first song this morning? How beautiful are strangers lands, our amber waves of grain, our purple mountains as they rise above the fruitful plain. America, America, God's gracious gifts abound, and more we're grateful for life's bounty all around. Indigenous and immigrant, our daughters and our sons, oh, may we never rest content till all are truly one. America, America, God's grant that we may be a sisterhood and brotherhood from sea to shining sea. How beautiful, sincere lament, the wisdom of
cultures, ethnic backgrounds, economic circumstances, nationalities, and religions. Whatever your immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, configuration, and or abilities. Whether you're here with us in person or joining us virtually, we know that love knows no boundaries. We are one in spirit. As a purpose-driven church, Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community committed to co-creating an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just, and compassionate human presence on this planet. We celebrate our oneness and honor the God of each of our understanding, affirming the innate good and divine essence within each and every individual. Will you please join me in our statement of faith? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. And so as we allow this knowing to deepen within our souls and serve to awaken us into enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings, we honor our anniversary celebration of our beloved community with this prayer from a book of blessings by Glenn Carty. Blessed are those who gather. Blessed are those that gather. No security check, no morality check, no financial check. Come as you are. Blessed are those that gather for breakfast on the beach. Ambiance is everything. Everything is here, needing you. Blessed are those that gather engulfed by the aromas, by the eclectic tension of unconditional hospitality, available with all. Blessed are those that gather and discover the other, going by many names, closer than our breathing, as distant as our fears. God is the giver. God is the guest. God is the grace. God is the grub. God is gift. And so it is. And breathing into this moment of inner truth and gratitude, let us affirm together. Thank you, God, for this most amazing day. Miracle follows miracle, and wonders never cease. And so it's the first Sunday of the month, so it is our birthday Sunday. So I'm going to invite all the July birthdays to come up front. And if you missed your birthday previously in the year, come on up as well. July. And so now we also want to celebrate our children, those in our spiritual community, those in our families, and in the larger community around us. In fact, all the children of the world. We hold them in our hearts and we see them protected and resilient, creative and evolving, joyous and loved as we join in our heartfelt blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, just the way you are.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let's now take a deep breath in and let it out with an audible sigh. As we center ourselves to embrace this blissful interconnection with Spirit, and we invite the chime to call us into this sacred space within. We ring the chime 4 times to call in the 4 directions and to remind us of our interconnection with all of creation and with the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonate through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Focusing on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us. We move beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, we breathe our awareness into the highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace we can imagine. As we experience a transforming wave of gratitude, with a fullness of heart, we say yes to it all, embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And with a final exhale now, we say, thank you, God. So now fully centered and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
We read from Daily Word, shared with permission of Unity, publisher of Daily Word, that can also be found at dailyword.com. And the word is guidance. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and quiet mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. I receive divine guidance much in the way flowers in the fields soak up sunshine. Just as following the sun is innate for them, I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing. Even if my guidance surprises me, I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still, small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone. And from the Scriptures, I have said these things to you so that that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. John chapter 15, verse 11. I am that I am has brought me to this now moment. Here I am. I am that I am has brought me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. To be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. I am that I am. 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 In witness to the wisdom of the many paths to the sacred, we read from 3 sacred paths. This morning's topic, celebrating beloved community. From Tibetan Buddhism, when we feel love and kindness towards others, it not only makes others feel loved and cared for, but it also helps us to develop inner happiness and peace. From Sikhism, I tell the truth. Listen, everyone. Only those who have loved will realize the Lord. From Judaism, Christianity, God is in our midst, rejoicing over us with gladness, renewing us in divine love. God exults over us with loud singing as on a day of festival. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17 and 18.
Home is where the heart is, where peace and love abide. A place for all seasons that beckons us inside. This fellowship of believers is a home and family. A source of light that shines so bright just for you and me. Welcome home to this family, created by love and choice. It doesn't matter where you've been, in your coming we rejoice. We behold Christ in you, with arms stretched open wide. Welcome home to this family. Welcome home. Welcome home to this family, created by love and choice. It doesn't matter where you've been, in your coming we rejoice. We behold the Christ in you, with arms stretched open wide. Welcome home to this family. Welcome home. Welcome home to this family. Welcome home.
So, it's been 25 years since I first stood up here. I'm getting emotional. Thank you. I was not expecting to get emotional. So since I first stood up here as your minister with my late husband and beloved Rory on the first weekend in July of 1998, we were literally fresh out of seminary and had just driven cross-country from Missouri to begin our first ordained ministry. We set as our first goal to become a freestanding unity ministry. For the previous 10 years, what we now call UMB had been an outreach ministry of Christ Unity Church of Sacramento, which was also Rory and my home church for the 15 plus years prior to going to Unity Seminary. Being an outreach ministry meant that we were officially under the oversight of Christ Unity's Board of Trustees and ministers, the Reverends Phil and Dorothy Pearson. In fact, Phil and Dorothy, who had also been Rory and my mentors, along with Reverends Faith and Michael Moran, had selected the previous 5 ministers who had served UMB. They offered us the church in December of 1997 before we'd even graduated from seminary, because the current minister, Reverend Marianne Gambardella, had given her notice that she was going to be moving back to New York, so they knew they had an opening. Fortunately, the Reverends Thora and Weaver Hess were serving as interim ministers, again at the invitation of Phil and Dorothy, and so they were here from, I think, February till about June, and they were providing a loving and healing presence for the community and advising Rory and me that this community was ready and wanting to become independent of Christ Unity Church. So rather than accepting Phil and Dorothy's offer, we set up a tryout Sunday in March of that year, and we promised the community that we would only accept the position with their approval, not because Phil and Dorothy had appointed us. So after giving the Sunday lesson and dancing across the stage, as Denise pointed out, we met with the community for about 2 to 3 hours of discussion and answered all the questions. And that while we adored Phil and Dorothy, we were not Phil and Dorothy, and we were with them. The other thing we promised to a church that had had 5 ministers in 10 years is that we intended to stay. And I can prove that happened. So we were invited after that meeting to become the ministers here after our graduation in June. To become a freestanding, independent Unity church, we needed to become fiscally independent and sustainable. Christ Unity had been subsidizing both the office manager position as well as Rory and my salaries for the 2 years we were here, and incorporate as a nonprofit organization in California, and to meet the requirements to become a full-fledged Unity church recognized by the Association of Unity Churches, what we now know as Unity Worldwide Ministries. It took us 2 years. And in 2000, we achieved our goal, which is why we are also celebrating UMB's 23rd year of independence, being an independent, freestanding Unity ministry. And that's because of all of you and all of the folks that have gone before you. The rest, as they say, is history. It's been a meaningful journey with joy and growth, as well as challenges, grief, and loss. The constants, I believe, have been change, and that we continue to deepen our spiritual understanding and practice. We've learned how to navigate the journey and evolve together through it all. The past 25 years, however, have also witnessed the steady decline of organized religion in the United States. According to The Hill, church membership held us steady at around 70% of the U.S. population from the 1940s through the 1990s. Membership plummeted in the new millennium, which is a trend that was only accelerated during the recent pandemic years, which saw a 40% drop in church attendance that we, in essence all churches, including us, still haven't fully recovered from or recaptured. People are coming back, but across the board in the nation, it's a slow go. We have to face it, attending church is a habit. And that once it's broken, it's difficult to reestablish. To get up every Sunday morning and come to church rather than say, what do I want to do today, takes discipline and conscious choosing. I love Susan Sutherland. I don't see her here this morning, but she shared one time when she made the decision that she never even thought about whether it was an option. It just, it's Sunday, I'm going to church, is when she knew that she created that discipline. And that's the way we have to do it if we want to be part of a spiritual community. There are a multitude of distractions in today's world, and where once society was sort of geared toward supporting Sunday church because nothing else happened. Remember when stores didn't open until noon? And certainly there were no sports practices and such. Well, when we got here, we had to really challenge our 2 boys, soccer coaches and everything, to not hold practice on a Sunday morning. And so, Susan, you missed me quoting you. I was sharing about when you said that when you learned that you didn't ask yourself, do I want to go to church this morning, but just said it's Sunday, so I'm going to church, yes, the decision's made and done. And here she is, right? So we have a lot against us. Faith communities, the Sunday morning faith community has a lot going against us, and so we have to look for new ways to engage. Most research suggests the ongoing decline is largely driven by a surging population of none and nons. In essence, Americans who claim no religion, 21% in 2021 Gallup poll. This group also includes, however, those who attend non-denominational churches, as well as no church at all. Suggesting, as the Hill article notes, it is not entirely accurate to conflate nuns with non-believers, citing a Pew analysis that found a significant share of nuns still consider religion important in their lives. Nevertheless, as David Kinnaman of the Barna Group has shown, that people who have no church affiliation will soon eclipse the church. Additionally, he notes that 48% of millennials born between 1984 and 2002, that includes both of my kids, are best identified as post-Christian in their beliefs, thinking, and worldview. Church growth blogger, author, and speaker Carrie Niehoff describes it this way: I think the change we're seeing around us might one day be viewed on the same level as what happened to the church after Constantine's conversion or after the invention of the printing press. Whatever the change looks like when it's done, it will register as a seismic shift from what we've known. In our own backyard of California and other Western states, we're also dealing with generations who have never been exposed to church, let alone developed a church habit. And thus we seek to fulfill their need. They seek to fulfill their need for spirituality if and when they recognize that need in alternative ways. That church isn't even on their radar as a way to meet those needs. And to be honest, I can relate to those nuns. Prior, nun, N-O-N-E-S, I just realized when I said it. Prior to discovering Unity in 2001, where I found I didn't have to check my brain at the door, and the Christianity being taught was grounded in love and oneness, I also had had difficulty relating to the traditional Christian teachings and dogma. And while most mainstream Christian churches today are evolving way beyond such dogma and have adopted much more inclusive and science-friendly theologies, the brand of Christianity that dominates our culture is still, unfortunately, largely been politicized and identified as the religious right. And in addition to that, the model of church, of Sunday mornings where preachers get up and speak to a community, isn't attracting younger folks so that they can experience how much everything's changed. I know Michelle and I, we've read all these articles about what young people are looking for, and well, then come, you'll find it here. But there's still just the structure that we have to look at. Fortunately, I found Unity when I did, and fully benefited from its approach of spirituality, intentionally designed to continue to evolve with me and with the world. In essence, listening to the spirit within, and trusting that spirit within rather than what I'm necessarily hearing from the pulpit or from the world. It's also about recognizing that all religion is based on our human understanding and interpretation of the principles that govern the universe as revealed by various master teachers and our own inner Christ, rather than that there's some laws that humans have the somehow insight into knowing this is absolute truth. Nevertheless, Unity is also largely stuck in the traditional church model that hasn't been conducive to attracting the nuns or the young people back to church. And to be honest, I don't know what the future holds for organized religion, or how we might engage younger generations to try Unity or other Christian institutions. And while there is an abundance of statistics and theories out there, no one I know has discovered the answers to reverse these trends. Everywhere you look, all the study groups, all the church growth groups and everything, they're all trying to figure it out, and nobody has answers. Still yet, I remember our Unity beginnings in the late 1800s. They were largely consisted of small prayer and study groups, as well as reading articles and books together and such. They were creative and were meeting people right where they were. And I'm guessing that we're going to be going back to something that may look like that. And what we're preparing for is developing new ways to engage folks beyond our traditional Sunday service, whether it's having the second hour again so that we have more interactions or other things that we can imagine and implement. And it's also, which I think we've practiced really well, being ready and welcoming to meet people where they are, where they do ultimately, when they do ultimately realize, which I believe people will, that we as humans need, and I would even say required, ways to connect, to create community, and to discover that identifying with something greater than ourselves is the only way that we evolve into our true selves and understand what it truly means to be human. And most importantly, it's staying true to our mission. Rather than the church model, we need to be mission-driven, in essence, inviting people into a meaningful relationship with the God of their understanding through an evolving understanding of practical, meaning tested, truth principles that can help us choose love over fear and oneness over separation in each day and each circumstance. In the coming weeks, we're going to be reviewing our own evolving understanding of our unity principles. You can say them with me. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. It's so important that we know what our principles are, but that we also continue to go within to discern what they mean to us and to be willing to question and search and go deeper in order to make sense out of them. As we study them and how they continue to effectively form our lives and prepare us to live and thrive through these times of radical change and challenges, we need to apply them to our daily living. Finally, even as my own unity theology continues to evolve, just like Michelle's does and all of yours does, I'm committed today to our unity principles as the foundation for my life, as I was at the beginning. I know I was talking to someone who said, well, what if you find out that they're not true? What if, this example, you die and you get there and they say, nope, you didn't follow the rules. And I said, well, then I don't want to go to that heaven anyway. And second off, that what I know is they've worked for me throughout my life. They've gotten me through the toughest challenges. They've helped me find joy in the midst of crisis and change. And they've helped me experience life with a community like this, where we come together and we love and support one another. And I know that God is always there for us. I believe that all the challenges we're facing today, be they the nature of spiritual growth and community, or earth sustainability and climate change, or social economic inequity, or overcoming fear-based biases, prejudice, and discrimination, or even just overcoming the unknown, is the essential chaos that precedes all transformation, and where we choose to focus our attention and how we demonstrate as love in the world matters. That's why coming together and struggling through those fears and those changes together so that we can still be actors and demonstrations of love in the world is so important. Ultimately, we're part of the ever-expanding, ever-unfolding, upward progressive movement of life. And God is good all the time. So as is our anniversary tradition, we've invited a number of individuals to share today about what church means to them and why they keep coming back and how they view our community as how we've grown over the years. We tried to get folks from a number of the different eras, and I'm going to describe the eras briefly here. The pre-1998, where we have a few of you here, and Kathy's going to be sharing from pre-1998, which is when Rory and I came. Also, and what I'm calling the Rory and Vicky together years, 1998 to 2006, and then what I'm calling the transition time, which was 2007 to 2014. It certainly was a transition time for me. It was about me finding my voice in my new personal ministry, how to do ministry as an individual, how we went deep into unity classes. Remember, Dan Schaefer was our spiritual teacher in residence and was a major part of all of that. And so we took about 7 years, which I believe is the cycles that we go through to transform, to transition into who we are today. 2015 to 2019, what I'm calling phase 2, we turned the prosperity corner. Yay! We went from every council meeting wondering, how are we going to do the budget this time? And there were many months that I waited until the first Sunday of the next month before I could get a paycheck, and we kept putting it together. But then we made a concerted effort, I made a concerted effort, to focus on prosperity teachings and recognizing that true prosperity is about gratitude. And as we began to practice gratitude for what we have, and we were blessed with divine ideas and incredible ways of connecting, and we haven't looked back. We've gone forward from that place, so we're grateful for that. It's also when Michelle heard the call to ministry and completed her classwork here and then applied to ministry and went through seminary and was ordained. And so we're so blessed to have Michelle here with us as our associate minister. And so let's give her a round of applause. I know she's kept me saying we make a great partnership. We have different perspectives on some things and share a vision that is central to who UMB is and is becoming. And then we have the 2000 to now, the COVID years and beyond. And so we're going to hear from these folks. You can see the prompts that we offered the speakers on the PowerPoint. They're going to be sharing from their experience. And we're going to start with Kathy Pomeroy, who has been a member of this church since before they had this building. There's others who also have been, but we would have been here all day if we had everybody speak. So we're going to start with Kathy. And the rest of you can see your names up there, so you can just move up. Thank you. You can just come up and speak after. I'm going to sit back here.
Good morning. Good morning. Disclaimer, these are my memories. They may not be those of the management. I wanted to talk about the years immediately before Rory and Vicky came. The church was really in turmoil. We didn't have a regular minister for a number of years. And Dorothy Pearson in particular was sending us interim ministers. And they would stay for a little while, and some of them fit very well, and some of them didn't. And that was very hard for us. And sometimes we didn't have a minister at all. And there was a lovely lady that came to the church here that stepped up and said, well, how would it be if I took over for a while until we got somebody regular? And we all said, yeah, that's wonderful. So she did the service for about 3 weeks, and we all loved it. And Dorothy said, she's not a minister, she can't do that. So we all got mad, and people left, and then we had meetings, and there was raised voices, and people told people to shut up, and more people left. And by the time Rory and Vicky got here, I think there were 3 people left. That's my memory anyway. And so we were told by Sacramento, okay, you're getting Rory and Vicky, like it or lump it. And Rory and Vicky came and said, well, we're only going to be here if you want us. So there was a day where they came and I guess gave a service and had a chance to meet them. And I, in particular, and I think other people too, were very suspicious of what Sacramento was thrusting upon us now, because we just really had enough of Sacramento telling us what to do and what we were going to have and who we were going to listen to. And there were a lot of hard feelings, a really lot of hard feelings. And so I came and I met Rory and Vicky, and Rory and I in particular had a talk. And he was very loving and said, hey, we're here. When you're ready to come back, we're here, and we have open arms, and, we plan to do our best for you, and we plan to make this a loving community, and we plan to do our best and have open doors for you. And it still took me a while to come back, but it worked out. And as you see, the pews are full, and it's been how many years? 25? 25 years. And so that's what Rory and Vicky stepped into when they got here. It was just a firestorm. And I don't know if those are your memories. But those are my memories of what was happening when they got here.
I will just comment that Phil and Dorothy had offered us the church, and then they came back to us and said, well, we don't know. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on there. We thought we were giving you this sweet little community, but it doesn't seem like that. And Murray went, yes, people who are alive and care. And so that was our side of that experience.
That's fine. Vicky asked if I would share my experience at UMB before she and Rory arrived. At first I said no. I said, no, I don't feel comfortable about doing this. But then I thought about it. And I don't think many of you know how I found this church, or actually how Unity found me. So I thought I'd share it with you because it makes sense to do this now. In 1996, I got a call from someone at this church asking if I would be interested in filling in for their regular pianist while she was on sabbatical for a year. It surprised me because I had never heard of Unity. I was raised Catholic, went to parochial school until my junior year in high school, left Catholicism in college, became Episcopal shortly after, then took a break when my son was born. I had been a pianist, organist, soloist, choir director, and even a cantor in a synagogue once. So that really surprised me that I had no idea about Unity. So, of course, I was curious and intrigued. I decided to meet with Enid Miller, the minister here at that time. She was beautiful, kind, gentle, and soft-spoken, with so much wisdom flowing from her mind, heart, and soul. We had only talked for a few minutes when I was overcome with emotion, and tears began rolling down my cheeks. As Enid held me in her arms while I cried, I knew I was home. This is where I belong. It was divine order and timing that their pianist decided not to return. It's because I got to stay. I got to stay as one of the pianists and accompanied the lead singers. The music program was a little different then. It wasn't a music team like we have now. That evolved over time after Vicky and Rory arrived. They shared a plethora of creative, uplifting, and inspirational ideas, but that's not the area that I was asked to talk about. But I couldn't help but throw that in. I'm just so grateful that I was part of this magical ministry with Rory and Vicky, and later with Dan and Carolyn Schaefer and Kendra Freed, and now Vicky and Michelle. Our Wonder Women. Let's hear it for our Wonder Women. Yes, all right. So, now back on track. UMB went through many changes, has been told, after Enid retired as minister, too. She still led study groups, but Marion Gambardella was hired as interim minister. After Marion left, Thora and Weaver Hess filled in for 5 months, holding the space for Vicky and Rory, who were still in seminary. In July of 1998, Vicky and Rory Elder became the new ministers of Unity of Monterey Bay, a dynamic duo, if you will. The UMB community is my spiritual family. Since the day I walked through those front doors in 1996, I am blessed beyond measure and grateful for the privilege of being the music director here and collaborating with this most amazing music team. After each service, I leave here feeling uplifted and inspired and even hopeful when times are tough. And we've had a lot of those lately, haven't we? I would like to acknowledge the special folks that were here all those years ago who inspired me in their unique way through their smile, healing hugs, poetry, advice, laughter, support, encouragement, their gift of song, their wisdom, and their unconditional love. First, those who have passed on: Enid Miller, Bill and Jean Hellman, Warren Lockwood, Marie Maleknik, and Patty and Ted Walden. And finally, those who continue to inspire me, doing all they can to support UMB, the folks that were back there too: Larry and Helene Daniels, and Dory and James Bogan. You are rock stars, totally rock stars. How blessed I am to belong to this spiritual family and form lasting friendships with so many beautiful lights, too many to name right now. This church had a strong spiritual foundation which paved the way for what we have accomplished in the past 25 years. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you.
When my husband Brenda and I moved to California from New Hampshire, we spent about 6 months church shopping. And we'd go to a church and it wouldn't feel quite right, and we'd go to another one and it didn't feel quite right. And we came here, and both of us agreed immediately, this is where we want to be. And it was about sometime in June, I think, of 2000. So I remember Denise invited me to sing with the choir for the first celebration, and it was, I don't know, I have felt like I was home ever since. The things that I remember during this period of time are the outreach kinds of things. We did Habitat for Humanity to El Salvador. Vicky and Rory and Bree in Salvador took a group of us, and we spent about 10 days in El Salvador building the foundation for 2 homes that had been ruined by earthquake. It was an amazing experience for me. Then I think about Barbara Barnes and the Songway outreach and how many people have been involved with that in supporting the village in Zambia. More recently, we have Robin with the Stand Down and how supportive the church has been in that endeavor. And then now, of course, this COPA, and our church is very much involved in that. Those are the things that I'm pull out from that period of time that are really important to me. As to what brings me coming back, it's the message, the music, the fellowship, the friends I've made, the support that I always feel. People are always asking how I am, how's Brent, giving us a lot of support, and most of all, the hugs.
I think it's good. Okay. The first thing I want to mention is that I came to this church in 1994 with my 2 kids. I was a single parent, and I didn't stay very long. I do kind of regret that, but it just didn't stick, and obviously wasn't the right timing for me. So before coming to Unity, we attended church. I'm talking about not 94, but fast forwarding to 2000. We attended a church that was bursting with fun, families, and cool music. However, there was never a quiet moment. And after we attended for a little while, the pastor preached that women should be submissive to their wives. and I was gag. I'm out of here. And so I'm guessing that Larry would have been likely happy to stay, being a man and all. We took a break from our church search, and about a year and a half later, we visited Unity, and there was Vicky and Rory. They were genuine and down to earth. The people were warm and friendly. There was a heartfelt feeling here that I had never felt before anywhere else. And I'm remembering some things. Not absolutely sure if I'm going to be accurate in the time frame, but I'm remembering way back when Rory was with us, there were church members that did energy work and emotional clearing work after church. And there were after church events where church members shared business or projects they were involved with. And Susan Sutherland was selling her stunningly beautiful silk scarves, and I was promoting a quality herbal product, and I actually gained a few clients. So it was kind of fun that the church collaborated and shared what they were doing, and that we were all connected and knew each other. And then I want to say that something about the women's retreats. I had some adventures going to the women's retreats. One was that there, and I might not get this story totally straight, and I don't know if anybody remembers it, but one was that there were stairs going up to the main event room. The women decided that no matter what, they were going to get me up there. 4 of them carried the chair with me in it, up the stairs outside in the dark, in the rain, while I held an umbrella over the 5 of us. I'm telling you, those women were powerful soul sisters. And I had many meaningful conversations and deep connections over the years of going to women's retreats. I also want to mention that I remember that there was a strong teen group here that developed back then. There was something they put on called Coffee House Jam. Yeah, and they did fun and creative little skits. I cannot remember the details, but it was pretty cool, and it was pretty awesome that we had a nice group of teens here. And then I just want to also say that we raised our youngest son here. Wow, what a gift to give a child. Imagine every week an entire congregation of loving faces telling the kids that they are loved and singing a song, "This light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." And there's a whole congregation of loving, happy, joyful faces. I think it had an impact. I have volunteered Children's Church on and off over about a maybe 15 plus years period. And 7 years ago, I became more of an official children's teacher about and about 4 years ago, Kelly joined in helping me. And I want to thank Michelle for reaching out and always being a solid support. And otherwise, I probably wouldn't have stuck with this this long. And we've become, Kelly and I have become quite a team. I couldn't have done this without her. She's a dynamo, fun, loving, and creative, and the kids love her. Thank you, Kelly. Being with the children is a beautiful blessing. Their hearts are open, full of life, love, vitality, and innocence. Really, they are our teachers. I'm sure Kelly agrees with me. So this is just kind of a side note. It doesn't really flow with what I was saying, but I wanted to put it in here. I just remember that Rory was so inviting when we came here, and that I said something about the wee wisdom that used to be published. It was no longer published, and I asked him about it, and he said, no, it's not published anymore, but we could start something, and you could write articles in there. And I mean, it's just like I was new there, and he just said that, and it made me immediately feel like connected and part of the church. That didn't ever come to fruition, but that's okay. It was the heart behind it. And also, I've always just detested the word handicap, and he said handy capable, and I never forgot that. That just really rang true for me. I like that. And so, in closing, when I was growing up, I never had consistency. We never stayed in one place very long. Unity has given me roots. Rory and Vicky really became like my spiritual parents. Unity is my spiritual family, and I am deeply grateful for all the love and growth I've received here. Thank you, Vicky and Michelle. Thank you, UMB. I love you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can. Okay. I'm not sure where to begin this story because Kathy's and my story in Unity didn't start here. It started in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I actually had just come off the Navajo reservation, and the reason I went to Unity was that is where Codependence Anonymous meetings were held. And at that church, I'd say probably within a week, I was the education director. Maybe it's because I was in the master's program in education. Maybe it was just because it was that kind of church. Somebody walks through the door and you make them do something right away. And Kathy was one of my teachers. And her kids were my pupils at that program. They called me Baldy. I can't imagine why. Maybe it had something to do with like shading their eyes when I walked in the room. Anyway, that, well, it grew. Kathy's and my relationship. I was saying earlier to Sue that romance is never simple, but it's wonderful. And so I kind of, my romance and opening my heart to relationship with my wife is the same time as I open my heart to relationship or reconvening a relationship with a different God than the one of my youth. who the God of my youth was an Old Testament helm on the, ride the storm and lightning bolts will maybe avoid striking you down in the Episcopal Church. And Kathy had that too. So we both had found unity in different ways, but we found each other through unity. We were married at the Unity Church in Sedona, and we had been coming here regularly because Kathy's parents lived here. And so right about 2008, what you're describing as a transition period was the kind of end of both of us losing both of our parents. And her mom had passed away earlier in 2007 or so, in November. And on her deathbed had said, you don't have to keep going to the Episcopal Church. You should go check out the Unity Church. And so we came here for the Christmas Carol service. We sat right about over there where Walter is, and we just cried the whole time. Christmas carols, and Kathy's mom had just passed away. And so we were just a little amazed that nobody even said hi to us. They just let us sit there and cry, and then the service ended, and we stopped singing hymns, carols, and we went away. And it was Anton Miserak back in Flagstaff who said, oh, well, what you don't know is that church used to have 2 ministers, and then one of them passed away, and then Vicky's been left there alone. And so when we came here in 2010, we had both been overactive at our church in Flag. We had done, I was a minister on several weekends. We had the same kind of turmoil that was described in the earlier years of today's talks. And we'd done tons of stuff, but we came here and we realized we don't have to do that now. This one's happening. This is a place that's already established. And so we settled in, and I guess I better go back to the script. The highest collective spiritual growth moments here, I think, what I noticed was the perseverance through difficult financial to the reward of gratitude for that independence from having to worry about every monthly bill. It's been a huge opportunity for growth and stability, spiritual stability. And I think one of my greatest areas of personal spiritual growth, I'm probably in the middle of it right now, actually, is being present for my wife during some really trying times for her, and how supportive everybody here has been, like Paulinda was talking about. It's just been really real for me to feel that grounded connection to so many of the people here. I also think that Dan Schaefer, he and his wife took us to breakfast soon after our arrival, and he intrigued me, to say the least. And some piece of spiritual growth was in that connection of science and technology also to God and self, and steering these, none of us can step in the same waters twice, like Heraclitus said. And so what our experience in Flagstaff is very different from our experience in this community, mine particularly. And I keep coming back because you guys are all here. And because I feel so strongly about what I discovered through Unity that I never got through, how do you describe when you have to go to church as a kid? Forced religion, or what do they call that? Required religion. I mean, where I went to high school, you had to show up or you could get kicked out of school for missing church. So it was that kind of place. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you guys are all here. And I can't wait to get Kathy home, and that's going to happen about a week from today. She's coming home. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. Well, it was 2008, during the time when California had Prop 8 going on the ballot, and it looked like same-sex marriage was going to be stopped. Marianne and I decided that we wanted to to get married, to marry each other in that window of time, and perhaps, our rights wouldn't be taken away. We had no religious affiliation. Mary Ann knew about unity because Vicky and Rory had blessed our first grandson, Enzo. And Kyle was, Vicky's youngest son, was in Mary Ann's daughter's 5th grade class. So we had that connection. And the whole experience was so warm and so accepting that we thought we should check out the service. And 15 years later, here we are. I'm going to cry. Unity's greatest gift to me is to teach me and give me a space to experience that I am good. And my very being is goodness. And we're all good. And the first dozen times that I came to Unity, I cried. I felt my little child in me was relaxing and healing because of the safe space here. One of the ways I've seen our church ministry expand is the way we every Sunday very publicly and explicitly welcome people here to our service. And I'm referring to the way Vicky and Michelle say every Sunday, you're welcome here whether you're gay, straight, no matter your sexual orientation, your race, your abilities, your gender identity. And I just want to share a story about that. And it was when Marianne and I were walking the El Camino last year. The El Camino is the pilgrimage walk in Spain. It was a retreat walk. We had done it a couple times with Valerie, who was the retreat leader. And it was about 16 people on the walk, and it was our initial meeting. We had met a few times on Zoom, but it was the first time we were in the room together. And Valerie began her talk with, "You are welcome here. No matter your gender, no matter your, what work you did, whether you were obese, whether you were short, whether you were tall." And my heart burst open. And it just hit me that I was safe there. And it was so shocked that I hear it every Sunday, but I feel like every place I go, I wonder if I'm going to be safe. And to hear it is so important. And I just encourage us to keep inviting people. I'd be amiss if I didn't mention COPA and the work we're doing with walking our talk with social justice. It's an opportunity. It's not the only way to do it, but it is a wonderful way to make connections. I never would know people from Soledad, Greenfield, Castroville, and connect it with the heart over social. We're concerned about the same things, and we're willing and wanting to take action. And we don't have to be alone with that. We're doing that connected and together, and to feel that power that we can do something for the common good. And it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. What keeps me coming back? Love, learning, growth. My heart keeps expanding. And most of all, like John said, all of you. To really live this stuff is really difficult sometimes, as we all know. And I truly cherish being in community with you, with people who want to live authentically and truly learn to be open and love. You are my beloved community. Thank you.
Well, hi. I can do it. right. Yep. Okay. Came here 10 years ago. I was also searching for a church. I'm a recovering Catholic, kind of like Denise. So I was really quite happy to find this church. I think the first person I met who came to me on my first day was Marianne. She greeted me. She's really good at, with new people who show up, goes and greets them and welcomes them here. COPA. I wanted to mention that one of the first things that we're doing here, it says here, what has the church, UMB's biggest areas of collective spiritual growth? And again, it's kind of like what Sue just said. It's walking the talk. We walk the talk. COPA is walking the talk. It's helping other people who are having issues, trouble, helping, pulling them up from their bootstraps, so to speak. And again, I look at the whole, all of us, everyone as one. We're all one. Some of us we're all going down this road, and some of us are kind of lagging behind because of situations. And with COPA, we're helping them to come on. We'll help you move forward with us. We won't forget you. So I think that's awesome. That's what we should be doing. The pastoral ministry is another way of reaching out and helping those that are in need of some assistance. I think, Denise, you went out and sang and talked with CJ. Right, and that's awesome. Going out, it's walking the talk. It's helping other people. It's putting smiles on their faces and knowing that they're loved. Now I look at that as the whole church as we all need to just we come here and we listen to the lesson, and then we go out and we practice that. We mimic it, and others see this. We're setting an example, and others see it, and then it might instill them to want to do the same thing, to go, hey, wow, that's a great way of living your life, and I love that example that you're setting, and I want to do that too, and it's just hopefully passes on to other people. We're all one. Okay. What has this church done for me? Geez, so much. I don't have enough time to talk about it, but one of the main things is drums. There was a talk once about stepping out of your comfort zone. I was sitting right over there where Kathy is, and I got up right after church, right after service, and I walked over and I was talking to Denise, and I said, I've got these congas. They're just sitting in my apartment. I'm not allowed to play them there. I did once, and then I was told not to. Can I bring them to church, and could they be of assistance, And she said, yeah, do it. Great. So I brought these congas, and I started playing them once in a while, and felt real good about it. I felt, more confidence about it. And then it was a few years later, it was, we kind of needed a drummer because I think Richard was moving on. So I started to take some drum kit classes. And I've never really used all of my arms and legs before. I was just so used to this, And so I wasn't sure about the coordination, but once I started taking these classes, man, it's like I'm home, My brother even sent me a photo. I was 6 years old, and I was behind a little drum set I got at Christmas. And so I guess I've had it all this time, or this desire. But my folks never did get me a drum set, a big one, but a piano. We had a piano for everybody. I'm much more calmer since I've been coming to Unity. I'm less. I'm not very judgmental at all. I don't try not to criticize anymore. I don't criticize anymore. I accept whatever music I happen to hear on some car going by. That's their thing. I don't criticize it. If that's what they want to listen to, go for it. Confidence and calm. I'm much more calmer. And anyway, I guess I want to close with unity is my spiritual family. It really is. And I couldn't imagine. I'll go 2 weekends maybe in a row where I haven't been to church, and I really need to get back on that third weekend, that third Sunday. I go, I need to be there. I don't feel right. I was up in Portland, Oregon, and I could have just not gone because I was on vacation. But no, I found a church up in Portland, a nice big one, and I went to church. So I didn't miss out. So yeah, you can find your unity fix no matter where you go. I think Hawaii. I know some go to Hawaii. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Hello, I'm Martha. Is that good? This has been a fun assignment, Vicky. I'll start with the huge area of spiritual growth for me has been learning and using the 5 basic principles of unity. My relationship with God has totally changed. I used to always say, God willing, out of habit, believing events were God's doing. I've been able to shift out of this thinking. I also changed from praying as if I was on Let's Make a Deal to setting positive intentions and meditating. Another area of growth for me is that I'm a stronger person today than I was yesterday and when I first came. I'm much more, some of you know this dearly, but I am much more confident, nicer to myself, and do a better job of taking care of me. So thank you for all your support in that. I think a big lesson for the church during my time period was in 2016 over the election. A lot of us felt like we got gut punched, and we learned we had to not feed into the us versus them mentality. And we found a better way to engage with others by having difficult conversations with a sense of curiosity and to focus on being one with everyone. I keep coming to UMB for a lot of the reasons other people said. For the hugs, definitely. For the feeling of community. To see all you guys, my friends. To hear the beautiful music. You guys are awesome. To hear the meaningful messages, reminders, and encouragement. And because, oh God, sorry. Because I feel loved, blessed, and appreciated just the way I am.
Well, feel absolutely honored to even be asked to speak. And we're so grateful that we could hear the story of so many of you at once. This is an amazing place to be. Steve and I met each other in 1978. but it took us until 2009 to really get together. And we got married in 2014. So when they asked me to speak, I said, can Steve be with me? Because I've spent my life doing public speaking, and I am just, naked before you. I just can't tell you how blessed I am to be here at this moment in time. Steve grew up as a Lutheran, so he had, it's Sunday, I go to church.
That's what I do.
So when we got together, I said, well, good luck finding a church that I can feel comfortable in, because my greatest goal in finding a spiritual community was to find a place where I didn't feel less than. And we did find churches along the way. In San Francisco, the church that made us feel welcome and accepted was the gay church in the Castros, the Lutheran church, so he was happy. But it was the only one I could go to where I didn't think, oh my God, I just can't have those raised eyebrows. My family is incredibly diverse in every way that you mention at the beginning of the service every time we come. And my sister is gay and happy and just lost her partner of 34 years. So,
Married wife.
yes, her married wife. Fortunately, finally, that was possible. So we were invited first. This is so wonderful that Jan Austin happens to be here on this very Sunday, because she invited us. We moved, we're neighbors over in Pacific Grove, and she invited us to her mystery dinner, which was part of the dinners that people are planning now. We felt so happy and comfortable to be included in this little group at this neighborhood, and it was just obvious from the beginning when she mentioned she went to, this was for the Unity Church, I thought, oh, that sounds good. But we've been busy moving, so it took us a while. We didn't move in till 2020, so 2022 full time. So we've just been going back and forth and then finally getting settled. So thank you to Jan for the start. And then Marlena and Tracy Tumlin invited us to come with them to church. So we got past that little hesitation, I guess.
He
And
gave us a ride. He had to park.
yes, wonderful. And then they have included us in many of their family events, which all of you know their family is a wonderful, inviting group of people. So clearly we come to this church because we are so happy to find an inclusive community with accepting and loving and non-judgmental people that we can fellowship with. I love that word. It's one of Steve's words, but I love having a community that I can feel welcome in and part of, and that I know anyone in my family could come and sit by my side and be proud. It's got to happen. So we have found our values and action plans starting to formulate at Unity Church. We've been together for these about 10, 12 years now, and it's been wonderful for us to find a place where we both look at each other. And he doesn't cry as much as I do, but oh my Lord, I'm so glad to know the rest of you cry. Every Sunday I cry, and when we have to sing the peace song at the end, I just couldn't hardly believe it. So, and the spiritual leadership, Michelle and Vicky. We're so grateful, so grateful. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you for being you, for welcoming us. Thank you for putting into words all of the things that we have found, as I said, in several churches, the last one being in Folsom, believe it or not, a Baptist church who had open hearts and open minds. They weren't where this community is, but they're loving people. And so we had a church home there. And all I can keep thinking is my granddaughter, who's 26 and just falling in love with the right. Oh, you can just see it everywhere. They're going to get married someday. And I'm just sitting here today thinking, how can I let her know how important it is to have a spiritual community around you? And how can we help them hear all that you've given to us in this very short amount of time? We've only been coming to church here about 5-6 months. We just love it. Because love knows no boundaries. We are one in spirit. I love all the things you say and sing. And I love to sing, so he loves to sing too. Yeah, we're here. He said he'd say something.
I want to say that everybody here is a minister. And we're glad to be with this whole group. And people I can be comfortable with, be open and honest of who I am and not have any filters. And that's what I call fellowship. We're looking forward to getting to know you more and more every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to thank everyone who has shared this morning. This Sunday service that we do always goes over because we feel like it's important and it's a time that we connect and share, and it always is so heart-touching. And I think you're right. You're all ministers. That's the other reason Michelle and I always like to invite people to share, because we get to do this full time, but we're not different than any of you except that we get to do it full time. And so I learn from all of you as well. And so we are blessed to serve you. And I'm grateful for you all being here. And now Michelle's going to take us into a moment of meditation.
Oh, before this.
Yes.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
So if you haven't already done so and it's comfortable for you, I invite you to close your eyes and just begin to bring your focus from all that's going on around us and all the excitement of the day. Just dedicating a few minutes to bringing that focus inward. Quieting the body. Allowing the breath to be slow and deep. Just becoming aware of this present moment. Allowing the words of that beautiful song to really penetrate deep. You are the face of God. are the face of God. Each and every one of us here, a beautiful, unique, unrepeatable configuration of the divine. And this is where we learn that. Where we learn, like someone said this morning, that we are good. Made in that image and likeness of God. Original goodness. So, as we've listened to all the sharings this morning about spiritual growth and what we've learned here, I invite you to just reflect for a moment on your own spiritual growth. Over the years that you've been attending this church, just allowing a moment of gratitude and appreciation for how much you've grown, how much you've learned, how much you've changed, how much your heart has expanded, how much your spiritual understanding has increased. The ways in which you are experiencing more joy, more peace, more love, more connection. Just allow those good feelings to bubble up, reminding yourself why you come to this church. What keeps you coming back? Finally, knowing that each and every one of us has something unique to contribute. What gifts and treasures do you bring to this community? What ways might you step out of your comfort zone so that you might expand and do things you never thought you could do? And step into your divinity in ways you never imagined. We are here this morning because of each and every one of us. And the expression of God, the face of God that we each are. So I invite you now to just rest for a few moments with your heart full of gratitude in the silence.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
So preparing now to bring this time to a close. Again, just allowing our hearts to be filled with gratitude for all that we have found in this community, for all the ways that we each contribute, for the opportunity to look around and see the face of God in each and every one of us. We are so very grateful. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
So, amen.
Okay. So just hold your hunger and everything, and we just got a little bit more to get through. Those dogs aren't going anywhere. When you came in today, you each received a keychain. Did everyone get one? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I could do that, yeah.
And on the keychain it says, "May you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you make." This is our way of reminding us all that unity of Monterey Bay is a divine idea brought into manifestation and sustained through our collective consciousness and the outward tithes and support of time, talent, and treasure from all of us who make up this community. We are grateful that our in-person services and activities have returned, while also being grateful for the technology that allows us to create and experience beloved community virtually as well. Knowing, as we affirm every week, that we are truly one in spirit. And so we now celebrate our community who represent our collective commitment to bringing the sacred into our daily lives and co-creating a beloved community that is a blessing to the world. We're going to be acknowledging all of our co-creators this morning. So first, as always, Vicky and I want to acknowledge that it is both our joy and our honor to serve this amazing, loving, and growing in many ways community. So we thank you for allowing us to serve.
So we'll try and get through this quickly, but again, once a year we want to acknowledge all that goes into co-creating this community, and we're going to begin with our amazing music director, Denise Headland. I don't think I'd ever heard your full story either, so I thank you for sharing. And she translates our lessons into music that touches us all. She always asks us if we have something in mind, but I'm always amazed that the music she chooses is always perfect. And so it's such a gift, and we're so grateful.
My honor.
And we also thank our entire music team, Sue Rosewich and John Dundon on drums, and Michelle, who does her beautiful solos. And she's often the one up here thanking folks, so she feel I can watch her feel awkward thanking herself and such, but let's thank her for her amazing solos. And also our combo that show up every time we invite them. We wish we could afford to have them always, but Devin and David, who just fill out our music. And I'm going to stop demonstrating this, and maybe we'll hold our applause until the end, or we'll be here all day. And also our pop-up choir. Whenever Denise calls you folks, you show up. And so anybody who wants to sing on those days, if you feel like you want your voice, talk to Denise. She'll add you to the email list, and it's a pop-up choir. So certain Sundays that she has folks get up and sing with them. So be sure you talk to her about that. We also want to thank our platform team that's led by Robin Falkenberg, that always holds a high watch and includes Colleen Adams, Linda Fossler, and Larry Sanks. Our live stream team, including Martha Price, Jan Lindenthal Cox, and Walter Rice. And our PowerPoint team, led by Kay Payan, who has largely done it almost on her own for the last 2 years, so we totally acknowledge her. But she has Martha Price and John Heil and Jan also step in when they're available. I think Martha is doing it regularly now, and John, when you're back full time, will be part of that as well. So we're grateful to all of them, all of that group that produces that makes this happen on Sunday. So now we can plan for that group.
Well, it was so wonderful to have an opportunity to hear from Nicole this morning because we so often don't see her, but that doesn't mean she's not here. She is faithfully downstairs with our children every single week, as well as Kelly Potter. And can't say enough about what they do. It's so important. Even if we only have a handful of children, it makes a difference to those children. And we do have a few that have been coming for many years now, and they are getting that gift that Nicole mentioned. Her own son and my own son have been able to have growing up in this loving church. So we are so grateful for you holding that space for years and years and years and years, so very long. And we're also grateful for folks like Larry Sanks and my husband, Paco Vargas, who often stay with the children when one or the other of them can't be here, because we always have two folks with our kids. And what's that? And Keith.
Well, we got Martha and Paulinda and Keith.
And all the folks who have subbed in when we needed help. Martha, Paulinda, Keith, and others to be with the children. And we want you to also know that going forward, if you ever feel called to spend time with the children, if there's a gift you would like to give them of poetry, of song, of music, of art, anything like that, please talk to one of us. We would be happy to set you up on a Sunday, because we really want to have that interaction between those of us up here and the wee ones downstairs so that we can learn from one another. What's that?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be awesome. John and Nancy Ruiz are now coordinating our ushers, and we are so grateful for that. The first people that someone sees when they come in, it's a very important job. Colleen Adams, Linda Fossler, and Paulinda Oakes also serve as ushers, and we can always use more ushers.
Yes. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop saying that. Kay Pion manages the sacred grounds and has for a gazillion years, so we are grateful for that. And also Jan Linden Balcox and Paulinda Oakes also serve as part of the bookstore team. Sunday coffee and treats are lovingly provided by Keith Larson and Paco Vargas, and we know how important those treats are, don't we?
Okay. So behind the scenes, but also essentially involved, are the folks who have said yes to the leadership call, taking on responsibility for ensuring decisions are made in the highest and best interests of Unity of Monterey Bay, holding the high watch. I believe it was our council. I started focusing on my own prosperity, and we brought it to the council, and for about 4 years, we studied book after book about prosperity, and we started practicing it, and it turned everything around, and so we're grateful for that. Our current co-presidents are John Dundon and Larry Sanks. And Kay Pion is the secretary. Robin Falkenberg is the treasurer. Marianne Boylan and Walter Rice are members at large. And we also have emeritus members who continue to support the council's work: Sue Rosewich, Martha Price, and of course James Bogan. Let's get them.
The original emeritus.
The original emeritus, yes. He's also the original youth teacher. My boys grew up with James in children's church. So each of these leaders not only participates in the overall governance of our beloved community, but each says yes to many acts of service: bingo, cook-offs, fundraisers, barbecues, and as you heard, bookstore, PowerPoint. They show up for this community, and we should be so grateful to all of them. You're going to hear their names over and over as we go through this. So.
Okay, Kay Pion, with sometime fill-in relief from Martha, sends out our weekly e-blast, which is no small feat. And she also coordinates our banquet, theme, and decor every year. Martha Price, in addition to being a backup on the e-blast, serves as our webmaster, keeping our website in order and keeping it up to date. She also manages the e-blast list and coordinates the banquet auction. Larry Sanks and Paco Vargas lovingly care for our building and grounds. They are, both of them, frequently here during the week fixing light bulbs that have burned out, or toilets that are leaking, or doors that are sticking, and keeps us from having to hire someone to do that, and so we are so very grateful for that. John Dundon, in addition to being animal over here on the drums, had been leading our highway cleanup team up until just recently. It is now being coordinated by Martha and Robin. And we are so grateful for their service. Anyone who has helped on the cleanup team, ever been out there cleaning up with the little picker-upper, stand up so we can...
Stand up. Yay.
Very important work keeping our beautiful nature clean. And so if you are ever interested in that, that is always an option for you to participate in as well. Where am I?
Sue.
Oh. Sue coordinates our chaplain team that holds the high watch, praying over all the prayer requests that come in, and just basically holding that prayer consciousness for our whole community. Our prayer chaplains include Robin Falkenberg, myself, Larry Sanks, and Jan Lindenthal Cox. And again, if any of this is calling to you, including becoming a prayer chaplain, speak to Sue about that, and we would be happy to have you join us.
Sue's also the team leader of COPA, as you've heard and seen her represent that many times. That team also includes Marianne Boylan, Jan Lindenthal Cox, Linda Fossler, myself, John Heil, Larry Sanks, Andrea Moore, Michelle, and Paco, who come and do translation and small group leadership all the time, and all of you who show up. We have a reputation in COPA that we're the smallest church with the biggest show up. In fact, we got a comment from our lead organizer, who is now moved on to Texas, but he said, Unity's the only one that has more people show up at our COPA event than they had at their Sunday service. And that is true. And so we're grateful to all of you. Our care team, coordinated by Michelle, includes Regina Palmer, Colleen Adams, Joyce Feliciano, and Kathy Pomeroy, and others who jump in as needed. They send welcome notes, they send get well cards, they send birthday cards, and when someone is in crisis or in need, they coordinate like meal chains and all of that sort of thing. So they're an important part of our community. Our administrative support continues to be provided since I got here by Dory Bogan.
Again, someone that you sometimes may not see, but she comes in like a little angel and takes care of things.
She files, and
Yes, she does.
we make a list of things we need, and she goes and buys the supplies. And she's the one I always have to call and say, where do we get rubber bands to put around the candles? And she's got that whole history. So she and James have been just foundations of our church forever. Let's just give them both. I also am grateful to my sister Pam, who is a bookkeeper accountant, and she quarterly comes down and balances our checking account and such, so keeps everything balanced. Right. And even through COVID, though, through the support of many of you, we continued to do our holiday Adopt a Family tradition and gift cards for the folks in shelters. So give yourselves all a pat on the back and gratitude. It's one of the ways we reach out. And finally, Paulinda Oaks is revitalizing our Soul Gardeners after 3 years of COVID. Our women's group that gathers on the third Saturday of each month at 9 o'clock. You're all welcome if you're interested. Paulinda also has an email list, so check with her and make sure you're on it so when you get her reminders. The Soul Gardeners that Paulinda started when she first came here actually became the initiation of our women's retreat that we also resumed this year after 3 years off from COVID, and are now planning next year's.
In our new location on the beach.
Yes, yes.
So most churches have, it's like a known statistic or numbers or whatever, that in most churches, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, right? In our church, it's pretty much like flipped. Well,
no.
Not flipped. That doesn't make sense.
Just expand it.
We have a much higher participation rate than many, many churches. Okay, I'm leaving the script. Let me get back to that. Before COVID, Unity of Monterey Bay was blessed with 75 to 80% of our people actively involved and engaged in acts of service. And things dropped off with COVID. and not having in-person activities, but now we are making a comeback, and we are back to about 60 to 70% active involvement in our church. So still a very high number of participation. Though we still, as you can hear by the names being mentioned, we have people doing multiple jobs. So going forward, we need more volunteers. Ushering. Now that we are back in person, we could use more volunteers to help with ushering. It's a great way to get acquainted with folks and get lots of hugs in. It's also really, really important because there are folks who come into the church that haven't been in church for a really long time, or they're scared to death to go to church, or they don't know what they're going to find when they come in through the door. It can be very anxiety-producing for folks to come to church for the first time. So when you're an usher, you're the first face that they see, and you have an opportunity to be a welcoming presence that can help those people feel comfortable. So if you're interested in being an usher, talk with John or Nancy Ruiz.
That's good.
Is that enough?
Yep.
Okay. PowerPoint also needs support, and it's really easy. Once you've figured it out, all you do is sit there, really, and press the button. I mean, you do have to follow along, but it's really not that complicated. We're willing to train you. If you're interested in doing that, CK. Highway cleanup, as I mentioned, is always looking for folks to help out. So we did highway cleanup for many, many, many years when they didn't give us necessarily any money for it, but a few years ago we started literally getting paid by the state to clean up the highways, thanks to John's hard work in getting us enrolled in that program. So now that we've gotten used to having that extra $500 a month, we really need to keep that up. So you don't have to commit to doing it more than one time. If you just feel like you want to get out there on the weekend and do it, just let Robin or Martha know, and they'll tell you what the current schedule is. All right. We are looking to start an online live stream welcoming team. So this means someone to welcome folks that they see are on the live stream, right? If you see somebody that's on there that you don't recognize, to be able to send them a little comment or a message.
It's just, so as people show up there, just like we have a greeter at the door, someone would say, "Hi, so-and-so, we're so glad you're here," and maybe get them to give their information, explain that they can get put on the e-blast list or whatever. So we'd have someone interacting in the same way that we do that when we're here in person.
Yes, that would be great. And last but not least, you are always invited to join in our Love of Church projects.
Love our church projects.
Love our church projects.
Our cleanup projects are various things that come up where we say, this Saturday, we're all getting together and you can come on down and we clean out different
stuff.
Attics, whatever. And
find all kinds of interesting things.
Right.
So those we'll announce when those days are happening.
Right.
So if any of these things call to you in any way, just let one of us know, and we'd be happy to point you in the right direction. It definitely takes a community to keep this church going. It takes every single one of us. So we're grateful for all of your service. And we also want to thank our Leadership Council for coordinating our barbecue today. Now it's my turn. I get to say something. She's like, what?
Okay.
Uh-oh. So, what to say about this woman, right? I'm one of the folks who is lucky enough to have been here, I think, back around the same time as Denise, and remember what this church was like before Rory and Vicky came, and I remember them coming here. They were both amazing supports for me over various things that I went through over the years, and so grateful for that. And then, of course, when I heard the call to ministry, Vicky became my mentor, and I got to have this whole new level of relationship with her, and just, all these years working beside her and just trying to soak up and learn everything that I possibly can from her. I've been so blessed. I want you all to know what it means to have a same minister for 25 years. This is very uncommon. And as we were talking about before, we had a lot of stability before Vicky came, and she and Rory made a commitment to stay here, and she has absolutely made good on that commitment. It gives us a stability that is just priceless, you know, and so we are so grateful. We have a little something for you.
Oh, my.
I'm going to take it out and hand it to you. I wanted Vicky to have something that she could look at for many years to come and remember all of our gratitude. So, okay, it's in here to protect it.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll take it out. So it just says, Reverend Vicky Elder, with immense gratitude for 25 years of loyal and faithful service to our beloved community, with a capital U. The dates and Vicky's favorite Bible verse, which I just found out she's getting tattooed on her body, so I picked the right one. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? So, for 25 years of amazing service.
Thank you.
Yes, up, up, up.
Thank you.
Can I say one other thing? I want to say one other thing, and I know I've said this before, but I just want to say it again. You know, Rory and Vicky came to this church as a team, as a couple, and they had planned to do ministry together. And they did ministry together for how many years?
8.
8 years. And then Rory died. And as if losing the love of your life and your partner wasn't hard enough, she lost her partner in ministry as well. But it didn't stop her. And those of us that were blessed enough to be here during that time watched an amazing transformation occur in this woman. Because they had sort of a division of labor kind of relationship. You know, she was the brains behind the act, and Rory was the out there, you know, one. And so, you know, when she lost that, it was like, okay, how am I going to, you know, she can't become Rory, obviously. No one could be Rory. But we watched her expand to sort of fill in the void that Rory had left. And so we watched her grow as a human being, and I know that was invaluable for me because I learned so much from this woman about how to walk through grief and challenge and loss and change and the unexpected twists and turns of life, which I've had a few of myself, and I was grateful that I had had that model of how to do that, to walk through with dignity, with grace, to not abandon her call, nobody would have begrudged her if she had decided this was not the gig she wanted to do by herself. But she stepped into that role, and we are so blessed. So, love you. So grateful for you.
Well, you've heard a lot from me, so I'm not going to say much, except that it wouldn't have happened without all of you. Michelle can attest to there are communities that eat ministers alive, believe it or not, and there are ministers that don't do the best by their community. No. Right? But we clearly, coming into ministry is like a marriage to me. And we have just grown and changed together, and I'm just forever grateful for all of your support. I don't know how I would have gotten through those years either without all of your support and unconditional support and allowing me to grow and transform before you. So thank you. I'm so blessed. Thank you. And now,
I just want to add a little tidbit to what everybody's been talking about today. Through the prosperity shift in consciousness and how things changed, nobody mentioned today that we were able to pay off our building. And it was with all of you being here every week, helping out, not just emotionally, but financially. And owning the day I was blessed to be there to watch sign the check. It was one of the most fulfilling things in my life ever, because I knew, I could sense with Colleen and Vicky that this was a whole new chapter for this church. And I just want to say I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Amen. Amen.
Whew. All righty, back to business. Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us who give of our time, treasure, and talent in order to sustain the spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. We know that prosperity is a state of mind that finds blessings in every situation and abundance in joyous generosity. We transform all appearance of fear or lack into a faith-filled peace of mind by shifting our attention to thoughts of gratitude for the abundance of God's good in our lives. As our ushers are here up front, I invite you to think of something specific that you are grateful for in this now moment. And now, with our hearts and minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe into the divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough and that we have enough and that there always is enough to both have and to share. For those of you who give online through our website, have set up monthly auto payments from your bank, or give by credit card, we are so grateful. And we ask that you join us in faith and gratitude as we pass the offering baskets this morning by holding and blessing the basket as it passes to you. And now, would you please join me in our offertory blessing? I am an open channel for God's infinite good. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God.
so fun looking out there and seeing you all dancing around. Joyful. So it is with great joy that we bless and give thanks for these gifts and offerings that demonstrate our collective commitment to the spiritual work of love and transformation in our lives and in our world. We dedicate this offering, our lives, and this ministry to more fully expressing the Christ light that is the truth of our being, and living and inviting all people to know God's love. Finally, knowing that one with God all things are possible, we affirm that the good is now, the rest is blessed, and the best is yet to be in our lifetime. Gently. Thank you, God. Amen. We'd like to thank for the music that we use today, Niall Rogers, Bernard Edwards Shirley, Carol Huntley, Karen Drucker, Jay Blackwelder, Samuel Ward, Catherine Lee Bates, and Miriam Therese Winter. And of course, one more time, our awesome music team. Yay! For announcements, check the e-blast as well as the handout that I think is still back there if you need one. It's our anniversary Sunday, so obviously we are having our Pot Luck BBQ today after the service. Please stay and join us. Don't worry whether you brought something or not. Just be there and be a part of our joyous celebration. And again, we thank the council for organizing the barbecue today. Summer dinners are ongoing. You can still sign up either to attend one or even to host one if you feel called to do that. You can do that in the bookstore. New member orientation and discussions are going to be starting next week. So we're going to be beginning our Unity Basics series, doing one Unity principle per week, right? And then there will be a discussion. Is it going to be downstairs? Downstairs after the service for anyone wanting to become a member. But this is open to everyone. So if you just want to get a little refresher course, or you just want to get some fellowship, really, or just learn something new, go ahead and join us for that. Just a reminder that the Anton Miserak concert is July 21st, and that Denise Rosier will be here on August 6th. And the Gay Pride March is on July 15th. So probably, next week I'll give instructions about where to meet and everything for that. Alrighty. Our anniversary banquet is going to be on a Tuesday this year, Tuesday, September 19th. And so we begin collecting auction items. What is that? Is that a dog?
It's a dog.
Oh my God, it's so cute. Okay. I can hardly see this. Very cute.
It's a puppy. Oh, it's so cute.
Oh my goodness. So
Adorable.
sweet. Okay, so we collect auction items in the months leading up to the banquet, things that are in good shape or things that are donated. Could be gift certificates, could be timeshares, could be anything that you think would be of value to someone, and we will auction it off. So just keep that in mind. And of course, our women's retreat is set for May 24th through 26th next year, and you can sign up for that in the sacred grounds. Okay. As we bring our service to a close this morning, as we always say, we are so grateful that you have joined us, whether you're here in person or you're watching us on Facebook or joining us later on YouTube. We know that we are all one in spirit, and we are grateful that you are here. And we want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Our chaplain on duty today is Miss Robin. She is available to pray with you after the service. You might have to get her between bites of hot dogs. But she'll be here. She'll be here after. Yeah. So if you have a prayer need that you would like to have held in consciousness with Robin, she'll be available for a little bit after the service. All righty, I think that's it. We are ready to form our closing circle. You know what we're going to do? We're going to put Vicky in the middle of it. Oh, yes, we are. You go right over there, young lady. Yeah. Oh, wait. No. That's not the middle. You get in the middle. So before we do our closing prayer, let's give our awesome minister of 25 years a wonderful Unity blessing. So we're going to say, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ as you, and we are so grateful. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, so will you please join me in our prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.